Hello, wonderful sixth graders. Today we are going to be working on lesson 7.2, and it is a short story called Walking for My Life. The things you need to have out, you need the PDF copy of the story, Walking for My Life. You need out a sheet of paper and something to write with, and at the end you'll need your Microsoft Forms. So let's talk about our objectives for today. Students will be able to connect different parts of the text in order to determine significant plot events. So plot, we've talked about plot and we'll talk about it some more today. Students will be able to analyze and summarize plot events to explain how different events impact the resolution and other parts of the story. So again, plot. Oh look, Blaze is coming to say hi. Do you want to read the next objective? No? Okay. Students will be able to make inferences about characters and themes in a short story. And students will be able to analyze the use of imagery and point of view in a short story. So as we go through each of these with the question, I am going to review it with you. These are all things that we've talked about in recent lessons. So that part will be optional for you. At the end, you will complete a Microsoft Forms quiz where you will analyze a fiction text for different elements and support your own opinion with evidence from the text. All right, so here is our first question. If you were stranded alone in a desert, not a desert, a desert, what would be your strategy to survive? So I want you to pause the video here and I want you to write down 3 actions that you would do to survive. So for me, my actions would be I would look for water, I would look for maybe a path, and then I would walk on that path towards, hopefully, civilization. So those would be Miss Tolson's 3 actions. So now you're going to take those 3 actions and you're going to turn them into 3 separate sentences or a paragraph. And I've given you these sentence stems to help you. So the first thing I would do to survive in a desert is look for water, because you can survive longer without water than without food. So that would be my first example. You can use that if you would like. I would like it though if you would come up with your own things that you would do to survive in a desert, and then you're going to use these sentence stems to complete your paragraph. So after that, I would blank in order to blank, and finally I would blank. All right, let's talk about some of the vocabulary that we're going to need in this text. So lava. Lava is hot semi-fluid rock. When my family visited Hawaii, we were able to see volcanoes erupting with lava. I really like this picture. To inspect means to look closely at something. So after my mom asked me to clean the kitchen, she inspected my work and said I did an excellent job. I didn't miss one spot. An axle is a rod on which a pair of wheels rotates. My car has 2 axles and 4 wheels. So the axles are these parts right here that connect the wheels to each other in this little vehicle. Gradual means moving forward slowly and steadily. The process of growing up happens in a gradual manner. It's not overnight, but a slow process, right? You're not like a baby one day and a teenager the next. It takes time and days and months and years, and slowly you grow up. Totaled. If something is totaled, it is damaged beyond repair. The crash totaled my car. I had to get a new one because the mechanic couldn't fix it. Thankfully, this has never happened to me. Fingers crossed. But maybe you've seen car accidents on the road and stuff that look like this, and oftentimes that would mean that the car is totaled. All right, so let's start reading our text, Walking for My Life. It was the middle of July. I had spent 2 days exploring a bat cave in Jornada del Muerto Desert in southern New Mexico. I probably said that wrong, but you can correct my pronunciation. The cave was part of an ancient flow of lava. Remember, lava was like the erupting hot rock, now hardened into solid rock. So in this story, the lava is no longer hot, but it's cooled and now it's solid rock. The lava had gurgled out of the ground like liquid metal 250,000 years ago. The cave was tucked away in what had once been an air bubble in the flow. The top side of the bubble had fallen in, creating an opening in the roof of a long, narrow cave that led back into the lava 200 feet, a perfect home for bats. I had left the cave and was driving my pickup truck on a rough track across the hard, jagged surface of the lava flow. Suddenly, the steering wheel jerked and my hand slipped. The truck ground to a halt, caught in the black lava boulder. A quick inspection of the underside proved the worst. The truck's axle was bent, nearly broken in two. So think about what that could mean. The axle, remember, is what connects those wheels. So if the axle is broken in two, the wheels are not going to turn anymore. I could not expect a rescue in such a remote country. I put the remaining food and canteens of water into my day pack and set off on foot, going north in the direction of the main highway. So, the speaker leaves her car because, the speaker leaves her car but, the speaker leaves her car so. We just read that part of the text. Why does the speaker leave her car? That's our because. The speaker leaves her car, but what could she be worried about? The speaker leaves her car, so what is the as a result? Like, what is she going to do? What does the word remote mean in paragraph 5? So I put paragraph 5 here. I could not expect rescue in such remote country. So what we are going to do is plug these definitions into the sentence. So I could not expect rescue in such something used to turn on an electronic device, like a remote control. No, that doesn't make sense. I could not expect rescue in such isolated or distant from civilization country. I could not expect rescue in such a small or obscure place, not even on a map. Country. I could not expect rescue in such having very little connection to someone or something country. So which answer choice do you think best matches the word remote in this sentence? It's time for the secret word! Our secret word today is tamping iron. So it's actually two words. Tamping iron. Remember, the tamping iron is what went through Phineas Gage's skull, causing this hole. So don't write down Phineas Gage, write down tamping iron. Let's keep reading. At this point, if you would like to finish the text on your own and finish the exit ticket on your own, you may do so. If, on the other hand, you would like Ms. Tolson to read it out loud with you, and you would like me to talk you through each of the questions and review the skills that we're going to talk about in each question, you can do that. I was low on water. Too little food did not matter, but hiking across the desert in July without water could be fatal. Remember, fatal means deadly. That makes sense, right? As I set out, I hatched unreasonable fears in my mind. I was afraid of everything around me. Grasshoppers hopped, beetles crawled, rodents scurried. Each creature made my heart jump in my mind. Every moment was a scary animal about to strike and kill me. I walked for hours in this state of mind. I cried and groaned until I realized that no one was around to hear me. Complaining was useless. A change came over me, a gradual transformation. Remember, gradual means like little by little. I began to feel less afraid. Fear was replaced by curiosity. I went on and slowly but surely began to see the desert world differently, through interested eyes, not frightened ones. A rattlesnake slithered past, scales glistening in the sun. The wild beauty of the snake steadied me. I might have I might have run, but didn't, realizing the animal meant me no harm. It never even saw me. Okay, this girl is brave. I would have freaked out if I saw a rattlesnake. The snake slid over the ground and vanished. In the silence and hazy heat of that moment, I noticed how peaceful the dry land was. Desert dwellers, large and small, went on with their lives, paying no attention to me. That night, I lay on the warm sand, using my day pack as a pillow. The sky went dark. The stars began to shine, zillions of tiny fires spinning reassuringly in the hugeness of the heavens. So this is figurative language that's describing how the stars look. With burned lips smile, I thought how little there was to fear after all. By noon the following day I was out of water. I continued north, forging a delicate balance in my mind between fear and death and the certainty I would live. So forging means like moving ahead. So she's like weighing this, like, will I live? Will I die? Am I scared? Am I not scared? I began to think how lucky I was to see the wild desert world. A wrecked truck and a forced hike across the desert gave me a chance to see what few others ever saw. Late in the day, miles from the road, I came to a ranch house. It stood at the edge of the lava flow, low against the desert scrub, half invisible through the waves of heat rising from the ground. I walked into the yard and was greeted by a skinny hound. The rancher was close behind, tipped the brim of his cowboy hat. Care for some lemonade? He said. I drank all the lemonade that he and his wife had in the refrigerator. When it ran out, I drank tap water until my belly was swollen and sore. I liked it out there, I told him when we got to talking. I just wish I had been less frightened. I would have noticed more that way. Being scared made me miss things I would have seen otherwise. I know what you mean, the man said thoughtfully, scratching his chin whiskers with the fingers of one hand. It's a rare sight, that desert wilderness, a rare sight. The next morning, the three of us rode out on horseback to check my truck. It's a goner, the rancher said. Totaled, I agreed. Too bad, his wife said. Such a pretty color, too. We spent the night by the cave, watching the bats fly out. Hawks and owls were diving and trying to catch a late in the day meal. The three of us sat thinking, saying little. I knew I might have died in the bone-dry desert. Unlike the bats, hawks, and owls, I was not equipped for life with little water. All I could think about was how I wanted to take the same walk a second time. When the day ended, the rancher said, "Too bad more folks can't see this. Might make them think twice about what's beautiful in the wild." "Yes, sir," his wife said, and that's the truth of it. All right, so what we're going to do now is go through the skills we're going to need and then look at the questions. So the first skill we're going to need is turning point. So the turning point, think about if you're driving a car and you have to make a U-turn, you turn around. So the turning point in a story is the climax, or where something really, really changes. So it could be an attitude change, it could be an actual transformation, or it could be an action that the character does that propels the story forward. So let's look at this question. Which sentence expresses the turning point of the story? So I'm going to draw us a little U-turn arrow, right? Where do things change in the story? I cried and groaned until I realized no one was around to hear me. I went on slowly but surely, began to see the desert world differently through interested eyes, not frightened ones. He tipped the brim of his cowboy hat. Care for some lemonade? He said. All I could think about was how I wanted to take the same walk a second time. So where does our main character change in the story? I'll give you a hint. It is not this one. And we're looking more for an attitude change than anything else. An attitude change. So where does our character change their attitude? All right, the next skill we're going to need is imagery. And remember, we've talked about this, but just a reminder, imagery is when the author uses descriptive words to help the reader imagine the scene more clearly. And so that might be sight, smell, taste, sound, or touch. So the tiny red ant climbed up the broken twig. I can imagine what that tiny red ant looks like on that broken twig. The sweet smell of freshly baked apple pie filled the air. I can imagine the flavors of cinnamon and baked apples and some sugar, and I can visualize what that could smell like, right? So I'm not going to go through all of these because we've talked about this before, but remember, imagery is those descriptive words that help the reader imagine the scene more clearly. All right, so read the sentence from the story. I drank all the lemonade that he and his wife had in the refrigerator, and when it ran out, I drank tap water until my belly was swollen and sore. So swollen, right, means it's big, and sore, sore means painful. So we can see size and feeling. So why does the author use this imagery at this point? Remember, she has just walked through the desert, she had run out of water, and now all of a sudden she has had lemonade and water. To emphasize the narrator's greediness, greediness means selfishness or like taking too much. To highlight the narrator's extreme thirst, to suggest that the narrator is close to death, to reveal that the narrator is also hungry. Well, it doesn't say anything about being hungry, right? And I don't think that the narrator is being greedy. Remember, she's been out in the desert this whole time and it's just run out of water. And so now all of a sudden she has access to both lemonade and water and is just like, oh my gosh, get me all the liquid. So which one of these makes the most sense? I bet you can figure it out. All right, the first person point of view helps the reader understand. All right, remember, first person point of view, our keywords are I, me, and my. And we know the narrator's thoughts and feelings. So I'm going to draw a little thought bubble to remind us that we know the narrator's thoughts and feelings, but we don't know the thoughts and feelings of the other people. So why the rancher decides to help the narrator? Do we know the rancher's thoughts and feelings? No, so that cannot be the right answer. The narrator's initial fear while walking through the desert. Do we know her thoughts and feelings? Yes. So that could work. How the rancher and the narrator have a similar outlook in life. Well, we know the narrator's thoughts and feelings, but do we know the rancher's thoughts and feelings? The rancher's wife's appreciation for the desert's beauty. Well, she says that out loud, but that's not why we know it, right? It's not because of that first person point of view. So which of these answer choices makes the most sense, knowing that we can only know the narrator's thoughts and feelings? All right, summary. When we're looking for a good summary, we need to remember that it should have the main idea of the beginning, the main idea of the middle, the main idea of the end. I'm going to change colors here. No opinions and no extra details. This is the one that they use to try to get you, right? They'll like have a really good summary and then like one tiny detail that doesn't actually matter, right? So we need to make sure that as we look in our next question for a good summary, that yes, it has all these main ideas, but it also has no opinions and no extra details. So which is the better summary? So you only have to choose from two. So I'm not going to cross out a wrong answer because that would just give you the right answer. But remember what we're talking about. And we need that B, M, E, no extra details, and no, that's a terrible circle, no opinions. The narrator's truck breaks down in the desert, so she begins walking. She initially fears the desert, but soon decides to be curious instead and appreciate the desert's beauty. She is rescued by a rancher and his wife, but is already planning to make a return trip. Okay, so that's the first one. So think about, does it have all of these things in it? BME, no opinions, no extra details. Let's look at the second one. The narrator's truck breaks down on some hardened lava. The axle is broken, which means the car is totaled, so the narrator needs to walk to safety. It is a difficult journey, but she is eventually rescued by a rancher and his wife. Okay, so one of these two answer choices has extra details. Which one of these has extra details that you would not need in a summary? That's your wrong answer. Hopefully that helps with that question. Theme! We love theme. Theme is the message or life lesson the author wants you to take away from the story. So I have this little picture here and it says, theme is what the story teaches the reader, the life lesson, the meaning, the moral or message about life or human nature that is communicated by a literary work. So basically it's saying the same thing, just in different words. So which sentence describes the main theme of the story? So let's think about what happened in the story. Her car breaks down, so she has to walk through the desert, and she's really, really scared. But as she's walking, she's like, it's really not that scary. It's actually quite beautiful. So beautiful, in fact, that I want to come back here and look at the beauty again. We should respect nature's power and admire its beauty. Could be. There is nothing more dangerous than being lost in a desert. Fear can be a powerful motivator when you're in trouble. Nature poses a threat to humans and should be respected. So I'll tell you this, it is not this one, right? Now I believe that that's a true statement, but that's not what the story is telling us, right? Just because it's true doesn't mean it's true about this story. So we need to think about what could be true about this story in itself. And then, why does the speaker want to walk through the desert again? Does she want to prove that she can survive, to discover new things, to prove they're not scared, or to appreciate the desert? You can do this one on your own, but I know you can do a good job. Good job! You finished, right? So I am looking forward to seeing your scores on this because I know that if you watched this far, that you did a good job on your exit ticket. So thank you for watching. As always, I love you. Be good. Have a wonderful day. See you soon. Bye.